Welcome Tabletop Dungeon viewers and Bienvenue à PariZ, where the croissants are flaky and so is the flesh. Now, launched with relatively little fanfare, overshadowed by the Kickstarter delivery of White Death and among a backdrop of Simon laying off designers and putting on hold all future projects due to tariff uncertainties, the next campaign expansion for Zombicide 2nd edition is here, probably the last at least for a very long time, and it's set in the lovely Paris. It follows a similar format as the other 3 campaign expansions, so if you want to know more about campaigns for Zombicide generally, do check out my video of which Zombicide campaign expansion to buy. But if, like me, the recent Walking Dead series with Daryl has you hankering for some zombie action Francais style, let's dive right in. I'm James, you're watching Tabletop Dungeon. In this video, I'll go over what's in the box, what's nouveau, what's different, how does it play, and briefly, what do I think? Because as I record this, I haven't had a chance to play the entire campaign yet, but I've played enough to know about the new stuff like the catacombs and to get a feel for those. Now, as with all of the campaigns, you get a set of 6 characters, which I would encourage you to play with through this campaign, though it's not mandatory. Of course, you can pick and choose characters from your other expansions, but they are thematically appropriate. There's also one NPC, which I won't spoil the story for, but it's a man called Laurent, not a boy called Laurent. That would be pretty blatant, copying from The Walking Dead. This is a man called Laurent. Big difference. You get 6 new zombie sculpts as well, but these are mostly just eye candy, with one exception. That is the headless Marie Antoinette zombie, which is used in conjunction with the new guillotine. She's not quite an abomination, she's sort of somewhere in between a necromancer and a walker, I would say. So she has some spawning rules, but can be shot just like a walker. Now there are 7 new double-sided tiles, though as an expansion you will also need the base tiles from Zombicide to play through these. As usual, there's a replacement set of equipment cards, super weapons, starting weapons, and no less than 100 unique objective cards. Otherwise, you'll be using your original spawn deck as well as any additional abominations, etc. that you want to include. So, briefly, if you haven't played a Zombicide campaign before, there's some similarities across all of the campaigns that you should know about. The first is that your characters can keep some equipment between missions and can also level up, gaining unique skills. While your main adrenaline track is reset each mission, you have a separate character sheet where you'll gain campaign points and spend them on special campaign skills, as well as note down any achievements that you've got throughout the mission. The main difference to how a campaign plays compared to the base game is that instead of generic objective markers, you get these unique cards instead, which you reveal when you take that objective. You read it, you either get to make a choice, or there's some narrative element, or some negative consequence. And for me, personally, this is a huge aspect. I always feel like there was sort of so much narrative that could happen in a regular Zombicide game, but I'm not that great of a storyteller, so these are great. The other big mechanic is the all-out dice and the breaking of weapons. So there's an additional red set of dice where rolling a 1 shows a broken weapon. It means you lose that weapon. Most weapons will have an all-out usage mode, which you can opt for. It means you get to roll 1 or 2 extra red dice for potentially more damage, of course, but also greater risk because you might break the weapon. C'est la vie. They are also used at the end of each mission to see if you can carry a weapon over to the next mission. But new to PariZ is a hard limit of 1 carried over weapon. So if you end up amassing a bunch of red super weapons and not breaking any of them, you will have to choose only one of those to keep through to the next mission. Now, most campaigns, including PariZ, include a day-night cycle mechanic, so you get a little clock, and everything is harder at night. You need a 6 by default for any sort of ranged attack. There are some flashlights and things to mitigate this, but any zombie that can see the light then gets an extra activation on their turn. And there's other ways to mitigate it too. Also, the timing might play a part in that particular mission. So it might say at 2 p.m, read this card. So what's new? Let's go from small to big. Trees! We got trees, happy little trees. Well, sometimes happy, sometimes they hide a zombie. They're basically surprise spawn or bonus cards. You don't know what they are until you enter the zone and you check underneath, and they also count as dark zones. I mentioned the guillotine. It spawns along with a headless Marie Antoinette. Let them eat brains. The guillotine acts as a spawn point, which can be blown up The Lady Marie is also rather nasty, doing an instant wound to survivors when she enters their zone, but is otherwise just a walker. She's pretty easy to kill. There are two unique weapons. These are similar to the Vault weapon mechanics from Black Plague. I think they're not mixed into the other decks. They're a part of the campaign which will be revealed, so I'm not going to show you what those are. The biggest new mechanic is the catacombs underneath the city. Those are used in conjunction with these new exploration tokens. So these are a form of random rolling dungeon to explore. There's no set maps other than the starting tile, and you draw a card to see what there is as you go on. These cards specify whether you use night or day mechanics, as well as where things spawn, where some zombies can be found, where some super weapons can be found, and where to put the campaign cards. Also on the topic of weapons, some of the new equipment cards you'll notice have 0 attack dice and only all out dice, which is very risky. There's a polearm keyword, which is new. It just means the weapon has a long reach, a range of up to 1 space away, even though it's a melee weapon. Also of note is the new super weapon, which is a grenade launcher, a 3 damage weapon. Similar to the RPG in other expansions, it can be used to take down abominations, but while you don't need to find RPG ammo, it is one of those all-out only equipment. So there is no base attack dice. Every time you use it, there's a roughly 40% chance you're going to break it. Also, baguettes. That's a weapon and food. So you can either wallop someone with it or you can discard it to gain XP. The character selection is also interesting, I think. There's Fred the Doctor. Not a lot else to say about him, but he starts off with Lifesaver, which is a brilliant skill. Yanis, the waiter, who is built like a brick house. He has an interesting skill called Parrying Blow, which lets you ignore the first wound and redirect it back at a zombie. Very strong skill at the start of the game when few zombies are around. There's Jaquin, looks like a professor of some sort. Nadia, student perhaps, you've got her iPad in the messenger bag. Louise, a full-time activist who has a camaraderie skill, which is basically a free action if you're in a zone with someone else. Free action, that is, for you, not for the other character. And Marianne, who appears to be the leader of La Resistance. Born leader, charge, all about leading the fight from the front. Very strong character. So, what do I think? Although this isn't a full review of the expansion, I am prepared to say that it's the best Zombicide expansion yet. There's some genuinely unique and new mechanics. The trees make open areas more interesting and definitely something to carry through to other missions. The catacombs are perhaps not as satisfying as I was hoping. They feel a little bit limited and I would have liked some more variety in the adventure aspect. There's only 3 catacombs tiles that you're working on. So every tile that you lay down is going to be one of those 3 repeated. And I think they could have done a little bit more there. So that's probably a more experimental aspect of this game, I would say, but it works. Now, one thing I really liked about this campaign is that it has narrative interludes. Normally you would just have an intro and then whatever's contained within the campaign cards, but in this you also have some outro text on particular missions. Not on all of them, but on some of them at key points. So that's something that really adds to the storytelling and something I really enjoyed in Gloomhaven. It's also why I don't play the base game of Zombicide anymore. Not having objective cards and that extra narrative element to the game just feels a bit hollow. Thematically, PariZ is a winner. It feels special. It's not just another different location. It's definitely one to pick up, and I suppose this means I'll now have to redo my other video explaining which one to buy. Hit like if this video helps you to understand more about the 4th and perhaps final campaign expansion to Zombicide 2nd Edition. Pick it up in the description from Amazon if you'd like to support me. I'll get a little affiliate kickback at no extra cost to you. And subscribe for more board game and Zombicide reviews. I'm expecting my White Death pledge any day now, and I'll be doing a special unboxing and pronunciation guide for everyone who wants to play without absolutely butchering the character names. Between myself and my wife, we're fluent in Japanese and Chinese, so we'll be doing our best to make sure you can actually say those names. Also, do check out my Zombicide Game Night Guide if you'd like to see how I take Zombicide games to the next level with sound, lighting, etc. Until next time, I'm James, you've been watching Tabletop Dungeon. Viva la Revolution!